Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Good morning, devotees. Hare Krishna. Please welcome to this mm, Sunday feast Srimad Bhagavatam class. So today we are reading from the Canto 4th, chapter 25, the characteristics and descriptions of King Puranjana, and the verse number 37. So we'll read word by word translation first, followed by I'll be reciting the verse, and because everybody is muted, so nobody can recite. So then we can just go to translation. Imam, yes, Tvam, your good self. Adhishtitasva, just remain. Purim, in the city. Navamukhim, with 9 gates. Vibho, O my lord. Mayop, Maya, by me. Upanitan, arranged. Ghranan, taking. Kam bhogan, the materials for sense gratification. Shatam, 100. Samaha, years. Imam tvam adhistashva. Purim nava mukhim vibho. Mayopanitan grhanan. Kam bhogan shatam samaha. Imam tvam adhitishtasva. Purim navamukhim vibho mayopanitan grahanaha kama bhogan shatam samaha imam tvam adhitishthasva purim navamukhim vibho mayopanitan grahanaha kama bhogan shatam samaha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. My dear Lord, I have just arranged this city of 9 gates for you so you can have all kinds of sense gratification. You may live here for 100 years and everything for your sense gratification will be supplied. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Dharmartha Kama Mokshan Dara Samprapti Hetava. The wife is the cause of all kinds of success in religion, economic development, sense gratification, and ultimately salvation. When one accepts a wife, it is to be understood that he is being helped in his progressive march towards liberation. In the beginning of life, a person is trained as a brahmachari and then allowed to marry a suitable girl and become a householder. If one is thoroughly trained in the householder life, he finds all facilities for human life, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Everything is there if it is executed according to the regulative principles. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोऽभीष्टं स्थापितां येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकां वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितां तां सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितां कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्दा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please welcome again to the class. So here we are actually discussing chapter number 25, the descriptions of the characteristics of King Puranjana. So in today's class, we'll cover some of these points. Puranjana allegory. So who is the King Puranjana and why we are discussing about him basically in these few chapters. And because in today's verse and purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions about what role a wife plays in a married life. So we'll be discussing about the role of wife in Krishna conscious marriage, and then we'll take an example of Queen Archi, who was the most chaste wife of Prithu Maharaj, and then we'll discuss few other things if time permits. So let's come to Puranjana allegory first. So basically, in the last chapter, while Prachetas were undergoing austerities, their father, Prachina Barhisa, was performing various fruitive activities. Srila Narada Muni decided to enlighten him because he was in the dynasty of great Dhruva Maharaj. So this is what was happening. So Prachetas were the 10 sons of Prachina Barhisa, and on the order of their father that they should actually increase the progeny, they went to meditate for 10,000 years under the ocean. And while they were doing that meditation, the Prachina Bharisat was actually very much busy in doing fruitive sacrifices. So now here, what happens is, so basically in the fruitive sacrifices, the animals are sacrificed. And if there is some discrepancy in the sacrifice, so the sacrificed animal does not get a new life a new life, a human being, or a young life of the same animal. So if the mantras are not chanted properly, or there are some discrepancies, so that those things happen. So what was happening was that because Prachina Bharishat was doing so many fruitive sacrifices, so there were many discrepancies that were happening, and because of which the animals that were getting killed in those sacrifices, they were not getting the new bodies. So they were all waiting in the sky for King Prachina Bharishat to die, so they can actually pierce him with his thorns. And Narada Muni was very compassionate because he was a great king in the dynasty of Dhruva Maharaj and a great devotee. So naturally, the Narada Muni he was very compassionate, and he then thought of advising Prachina Bharishat to stop from all the fruitive activities and focus solely on the devotional service of the Lord. So now what happens is, right? Say, take a case, if we meet any materialistic person and if we talk to him directly about Krishna, Krishna's pastimes, or Krishna conscious talks, he might not understand. So what here Narada Muni does is he actually gives him an allegorical presentation of a man entangled in material life, and he takes him through his whole life, and then finally he reveals that that person is no other than Prachina Bharishat himself. So, uh, so this is what the uh, he is no other than King Prachina Bharishat himself. So this is how, because the materialistic persons are more interested to hear materialistic topics. So that's how Narada Muni actually started this conversation to enlighten King Prachina Bharishat by describing his own life in the form of a separate allegorical character called Puranjana. So there is no real character called Puranjana. It's all allegorical presentation, and Puranjana actually represented King Prachina Bharishat himself. Now, other than the Prachina Bharishat's qualification of being a dynasty of Dhruva Maharaj, there are actually few other important qualifications he had, and these qualifications are important for us to know. He had actually a very submissive mood of inquiry to Narada Muni. Even though he was a materialist, he was engaged in the fruitive activities. But we can see from the few verses on the beginning of this chapter, when Narada Muni approached Prachina Bharishat, he actually became he was very respectful to Narada Muni, and then he inquires as follows in these two verses. So in the text 5 he says, the king replied, O great soul, Narada, my intelligence is entangled in fruitive activities. Therefore, I do not know the ultimate goal of life. Kindly instruct me in pure knowledge so that I can get out of the entanglement of fruitive activities. So here we see the Prachina Bharishad was aware that he is entangled in fruitive activities. So that was first qualification. He, he was not a puffed up materialist. He understood his position that something is not quite right in his spiritual life. So he actually makes this inquiry. Now the text number 6, he says that those who are interested only in a so-called dutiful life namely remaining as a householder entangled by sons and wife and searching after wealth, think that such things are life's ultimate goal. Such people simply wander in the different types of bodies throughout this material existence without finding out the ultimate goal of life. So we can see that this is a mood of receiving a spiritual knowledge. If we are puffed up of our achievements, of our family, our genealogy, our heritage, or wealth, or actually whatever we got, so we actually won't receive the spiritual knowledge. Even though he was a great king, he was a materialist. He was engaged in so many fruitive activities, but he can see that he was humble. He was ready to accept the instructions of Narada Muni. He understood that what his problems are, and he is too much entangled in material life, and he actually needs to find a way out so that he can achieve ultimate goal of life. So this is what actually we also need to develop some of these qualities, that while we are inquiring from a senior devotee or spiritual master, or while we are attending some classes, so we should be in a just a humble mood, not to challenge anything, but just to inquire, so that how that how my spiritual master and how an advanced devotee can help me in my Krishna consciousness. So not in a challenging mood. So but in a humble submissive mood, we need to make inquiries. And these some of these are the qualifications because of which the Prachina Bharishad was able to understand the whole allegory of Puranjana, and then he actually he understood the whole philosophy and made his life successful. So now in this allegory, so there are actually, it's actually, if you read, it's actually, these chapters are not easy chapters. So because the allegories are not easy to understand for us most of the times, if it's a difficult allegory. So here I have just covered some few important points of the allegory till this point of the chapter, and there are many more allegorical comparisons, but I thought it's not important to discuss them for today's class. So Puranjana actually refers to a jiva, a living entity, entangled into the material consciousness and transmigrating from one body to another according to its karma. So that's what a Puranjana refers to. And the city in which King Puranjana ultimately comes to enjoy, the city of nine gates. So that city actually refers to the body, uh, because body has all the sense organs, and basically with those senses we actually enjoy the material life. Now, in the beginning, there is a mention of a personality called Avidnyata. Now, it's very interesting. Avidnyata is actually the super soul and the supreme lord. And in the description, it is mentioned that his activities remain unknown. So here it is said that the Avidnyata, the personality by the name Avidnyata, is a friend of Puranjana, but nobody knows him. His activities are unknown. And that's true because if we are entangled in the material consciousness, even though the Supreme Lord is sitting within our heart as super soul, so we actually don't know him. And the nine gates of the city, they are actually refers to the various sense organs by which we enjoy with the body. And the wife of Puranjana, Puranjani. So this is what we are talking about in this verse, where Puranjani says to Puranjana that we have arranged this body for your sense enjoyment. So Puranjani is none other than our intelligence covered by material consciousness, that is material ignorance. And this actually produces the false egoistic concept of me, myself, I, and I am the best, I am the Lord of all what I survey, I am the God. So, so taking shelter of the material ignorance, Jiva enjoys the modes of three modes while he's entrapped in the body. So just understand these important, just few of the characters that we are discussing in this chapter and the future chapters. Puranjana, city, Avidnyata. Avidnyata is nothing, no other Supreme Lord, and the nine gates of the city and Puranjani. Now, right, now we actually do a fast forward to the last verse of the whole conversation. So, so what is the purpose of this allegory? So basically, we discussed that Narada Muni wanted to enlighten King Prachina Bharishal. So he enlightened, but why he actually choose to propose this allegory? So in 429.85, the verse which we'll read in the future classes, Narada Muni says, the allegory of King Puranjana described herein, according to authority, was heard by me from my spiritual master and it is full of spiritual knowledge. If one can understand the purpose of this allegory, he will certainly be relieved from the bodily conception and will certainly understand life after death. Although one may not understand what transmigration of soul actually is, one can fully understand it by studying this narration. So this is a very important point. So basically, if we are actually so much involved in the material consciousness. So here Narada Muni says, if we can understand the purpose of this allegory, we can be relieved from the bodily conception and will understand the transmigration process of life after death. And so though um, even though we all are not advanced devotees, we are in the beginning of our spiritual life with so many material attachments. So that's why this allegory actually suits us very well. It's helped us to actually detach ourselves from the bodily concept of life. So these chapters that we are discussing uh, from the present chapter 25 to 29, they're actually very very important chapters. And what I recommended is there is a book called Bhagavata Subodhini from Gaura Darshan Das from the Vidyapeeth. So I recommend all of you to get that book, Bhagavata Subodhini. So that's a reference book on Srimad Bhagavatam. And and if we try to understand the whole all of these chapters through Srila Prabhupada purports and taking help from that reference book, we will be able to better understand the whole of allegory. So because I also taken some of these points from that book only. So it's a Bhagavata Subodhini, Canto 4 by Gaura Darshan Das. And it's available in tulsibooks.com. So if you go to tulsibooks.com, so you can order from there, and I think it should be there in IBC also. Now, so now let's see a very important topic: the role of wife in Krishna conscious marriage. Because that's what we are discussing in the purport, where Srila Prabhupada says this point: the purpose of accepting a wife. When one accepts a wife, it is to be understood that he is being helped in his progressive march towards liberation. That's what Srila Prabhupada says in the purport. And Srila Prabhupada describes many things about the role of a wife. So I don't let's discuss what is exactly the role of wife in Krishna conscious marriage, and how husband and wife help together to help each other to progress in Krishna consciousness and eventually attain the ultimate goal of going back home, back to world. So basically, as you can see, there is the Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Uh, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the living entities are the prakriti, they are energies. So, although spiritually, the woman and man both are same marginal energy of the Lord and are constitutionally his servant, having taken different bodies in material realm, they are expected to behave differently and fulfill their human obligations to solely please the Lord. So, this is a very important point. Uh, though both are the marginal energies of the Lord, the living entity staying in the male body and the living entity staying in the female body, they both are on the marginal energy of the Lord, and on the spiritual platform, mm, on the constitutional platform of the spirit soul, there is absolutely no difference between both of them. So just that they have got a different body. So for example, we have Varnashrama Dharma where we have we have those Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So classifications of a classifications of conditioned souls according to the body he has acquired. So though we are all marginal energy of the Supreme, qualitative one with the Supreme, and on the constitutional platform, there is absolutely no difference between the living entity in the male body, female body, in the animal body, in whatnot body, in 8.4 million different species. Although there is no difference, but because we have acquired that body, so now we have to see how we can make the best use of that body to achieve the ultimate goal of life, which is going back to Godhead and become a pure devotee of Krishna. So it is not that I have got as a male body, so I should now act in the duty of a female body or act as a duty of an animal to progress. So basically, we just have to see what nature we have acquired, and we just have to act according to that nature, and then and see how under the guidance of the spiritual master we can make progress towards the final destination in the body which I have acquired. So it is not that we claim that the uh, a women's liberation movement, they should be given full independence and the male should be doing this, a female should be doing that. No, it's not like that. So basically, everyone should be acting according to the nature they have acquired. with the ultimate purpose of becoming a pure devotee of Krishna. That is what we actually learn in Krishna consciousness. It's not that based on the bodily differences we make some differences. No, so that doesn't happen. So it's just that we have acquired a different body, we have acquired a different nature. So we have to work according to that body and according to that nature to achieve the ultimate goal. So, so even though the duties are different for male and female in Krishna consciousness, so that doesn't mean that there are any bodily differentiations like male is superior, female is inferior, or anything like that. No, it's just that because one has a male body, one has a female body, the duties are different. But as you can see from the last line, they are expected to behave differently and fulfill their human obligations to solely please the Lord. That's the whole and sole purpose. We are here to please Krishna. We only want to see whether by our activities, whether in as a male or whether as a female, Krishna is pleased or not. That is what we need to see. So in the scriptures, the wife is described as a better half of a man since she works with him under his protection and guidance to fulfill half of his responsibilities. She offers her loyalty and faithful service, which is very crucial for man's progress. A, a married man is deficient without a nice wife. Please give me 1 minute. Just turn off my phone. Okay. She offers a loyalty and faithful service, which is very crucial for a man's progress. A married man is deficient without a nice wife. So yes, that is true. A married man deficient without nice wife. So if say both husband and wife are fortunately Krishna conscious, so 1 plus 1 becomes 11. So they both make progress very, very rapidly in Krishna consciousness, assisting each other in their ultimate journey. The only thing is that Krishna stays in the center. So good husband should gently guide and advise. I'm sorry. A good wife should gently guide and advise the husband with sweet words, but if he is arrogant enough not to heed to the suggestions, he alone is responsible for the consequences and the karmic entanglements. The wife has no bearing in this as long as she surrenders to the Lord and keeps her chastity. So this is one of the most important things in Krishna consciousness we have to remember. Our ultimate goal is to please Krishna. Our ultimate goal is not to please my family, to please my country, to please my society, to please my community. So they are all secondary goals. The ultimate goal we have to remember is to please Krishna. And everything else surrounds that one single goal. Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. So that is the highest principle of religion and that is the highest goal. So here we see that if husband is not supportive, not helpful to the wife, so the wife is not responsible for the sinful activities performed by the husband. The only thing she has to ensure is she stays fully Krishna conscious and keeps her chastity. So regarding the advice given by wife to husband, it is very important in the Krishna conscious marriage. Say for example, we see in the history how husbands who do not heed to the gentle advice of his chaste wife falls down due to his total destruction. We have many examples. So I have noted only few. So we know the wife of Ravana, Mandodari, many times she gave advice to Ramana to let go of Sita because that will bring about a destruction. But Ravana did not heed to the advice of his wife Mandodari, and eventually the Ravana was completely destroyed. And Dhritarashtra was also many times advised by his chaste wife Gandhari, but he did not agree to his wife's proposal and was responsible for the situation going out of control. And Tara, the faithful wife of Bali, Ramayana, was also ignored by Bali and was killed by Lord Ramachandra in the battle. So it is actually very, very important if the wife is Krishna conscious, if the husband is Krishna conscious, they both have to take advice from each other and help each other. And so say for example, husbands can't be just arrogant and think that, oh, she's a wife, she's subordinate, so she has to accept what I tell, and basically I don't have to listen to her. No, that's not true. If both husband and wife are Krishna conscious, they both have to actually take advice from each other and help each other in each other's progress in Krishna consciousness. So this is the duty of a husband actually. A woman needs protection at all times. They are gentle and tender at heart, and it is duty of husband to guard her physical and emotional well-being. Basically, the whole purpose is the man has to ensure that Husbands have to ensure that there is a nice Krishna conscious environment in the family. That is the duty of husband, and he has to give protection to the wife and children. Now, I have taken to understand more clearly the role of wife in Krishna consciousness. I have taken a few excerpts from the scriptures and the quotes of Srila Prabhupada, which articulate the crucial role a wife plays in a Krishna conscious marriage. So this is very clearly described in the seventh canto of Srimad Bhagavatam about about these details. A wife should serve her husband with love and devotion. To render service to the husband, to be always favorably disposed towards the husband, to be equally well disposed towards the husband's relatives and friends, and to follow the vows of the husband. These are the four principles to be followed by women described as chaste. Being modest and truthful, controlling her senses, and speaking in sweet words, a chaste woman should engage in the service of her husband with love according to time and circumstances. A chaste woman should not be greedy but satisfied in all circumstances. She must be very expert in handling household affairs and should be very and, and she should be fully conversant with religious principles. She should speak pleasingly and truthfully and should be very careful and always clean and pure. Thus, so we have in three verses, some of the three verses here. So we can see again, like being modest and truthful. He has to control her senses, speak in sweet words. He should engage in the service of husband with love according to time and circumstances. Satisfied in all circumstances, very expert in handling household affairs, should be fully conversant with religious principles, should speak pleasingly and truthfully, and should be very careful and always clean and pure. Thus, a chaste woman should engage with affection in the service of a husband who is not fallen. So, word who is not fallen refers to a husband who is a devotee. So, this is a very important point. So, a wife who is a Krishna conscious. So, these are the some of the duties of wife towards her family and towards her husband, a devotee husband. So that way, so it is not that if the wife is doing all the household affairs and taking care of the family nicely, cooking prasadam, taking care of all the devotee guests, serving the devotee husband nicely, so that does not mean in any way that she is subordinate or she is a slave. No, that's not true. So just like a husband has a duty towards the family, similarly wife also has a duty towards the Krishna conscious family. But the point to be noted here is we are actually talking about a Krishna conscious family here. Both husband and wife and children, they are all Krishna conscious. So under that circumstances, what is the role of a wife? Srila Prabhupada clearly says in the translation, thus a chaste woman should engage with affection in the service of a husband who is not fallen. Who is not fallen means that he is not a devotee. Now, actually, if you read that purport, Srila Prabhupada makes a very strong point. Maybe the points that Srila Prabhupada is making in that purport, we will not be able to understand with our intelligence. And so, but we'll still discuss those points. So here in the purport to 7:11:28, Srila Prabhupada says, anyone who is a devotee is sinless. One who is not a devotee, however, is the most fallen and condemned. It is recommended, therefore, that a chaste wife not associate with a fallen husband. A fallen husband is one who is addicted to the four principles of sinful activity, namely illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. Specifically, if one is not a soul surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is understood to be contaminated. Thus, a chaste woman is advised not to agree to serve such a husband. It is not that a chaste woman should be like a slave while her husband is a Naradhama, the lowest of men. So I think in the purport it's actually very clear that a chaste woman is advised. A chaste woman, we are talking about a devotee woman, a devotee wife who is practicing Krishna consciousness very seriously, not a mundane woman. So a chaste woman is advised not to agree to serve such a fallen husband. It is not that a chaste woman should be like a slave while her husband is a Naradhama, the lowest of men. So it's actually very clear that the duties that we are discussing here, and the service to the family, service to the husband, they are mainly applicable for a devotee family. It is actually not that if a wife is a devotee and a husband is not a devotee, so wife, um, but it's not, but it's not that a wife must support her husband in in his sinful activities. No, wife has to make, in that case, wife has to make sure that her Krishna consciousness is intact. So the wife's duty of supporting a family, supporting a husband, giving service to husband, m- is actually not applicable under all circumstances, especially when the husband is a sinful. If a husband is not a devotee, husband is a sinful, and he is actually engaged in the sinful activities like illicit sex, meat eating, and gambling and intoxication, then the chaste wife, a devotee wife, should not be acting like a slave in the service of her husband. So that is what Srila Prabhupada says in this purport. And now comes a very, very powerful part of that purport. Although the duties of a woman are different from those of a man, a chaste woman is not meant to serve a fallen husband. See, it's very clearly Prabhupada says a chaste woman is not meant to serve a fallen husband. If her husband is fallen, it is recommended that she give up his association. Giving up the association of her husband does not mean, however, that a woman should marry again and thus indulge in prostitution. If a chaste woman unfortunately marries a husband who is fallen, she should live separately from him. Similarly, husband can separate himself from a woman who is not chaste according to the description of the Shastra. So initially, I was in two minds whether to include this statement in the class or not, because it brings a lot of questions, a lot of confusions about uh, about the families in which uh, one member of one spouse is Krishna conscious and another spouse is not Krishna conscious. So then the statement by Srila Prabhupada actually brings a lot of confusion. So what to be done? Prabhupada is saying like this here that we can separate and all those things. So should I separate? Should I not separate? What to do? What not to do? So the point here is actually we are not intelligent enough to make any decisions like this. Assume in a family, if both husband and wife are Krishna conscious, so as I said, 1 plus 1 is 11, and it's a very, very nice family, and it's a great fortune to have such a family, and one should take fully advantage of that family. But as you can see in most of the families in this age, in Kali Yuga especially, so it's actually not always possible that both the husband and wife are Krishna conscious. 99.9% of time, both are not Krishna conscious, and in 0.1%, it's highly possible the husband is Krishna conscious, wife is not Krishna conscious, or wife is Krishna conscious, husband is not Krishna conscious. So that happens. So how to handle those conditions? How to deal with those situations? So here Prabhupada says so we should start living separately. We should just give up the husband, or we should give up the wife. Should we do that, or should we not do that? So the one thing we have to remember, our intelligence is not advanced to make any decisions like this. That's where the spiritual master comes into picture. So the spiritual master, based on our condition, exactly determines what is the solution to the problem. So what the solution we are seeing here, this is an absolutely last resort where nothing else can be done. So this is not the first resort. So this does not happen as a first step. This happens as a last step where nothing absolutely is possible and there is no other way but to separate. But again, right, as you can see in the purport, the separation does not mean divorce. Divorce is not allowed in the Vedic marriage, and as you can see here, giving up the association of her husband does not mean that a woman should marry again or husband should marry again and thus indulge in prostitution. So it is not that I give up my husband or I give up my wife and marry someone else. That is not a Krishna conscious way of dealing with things. So here as we're discussing, we are not always in a position to make a decision. If something is not going right in our family because one member is Krishna conscious and one member is not Krishna conscious, so it is up to the spiritual master and the senior Vaishnavas to understand the whole situation and based on the particular circumstances decide what the next steps are. So I'll give you one example, a few examples in this regard. So this discussion came a few days back with my Guru Mata. my Guru Mata is Her Grace Vishnupriya Devi Dasi. She is a wife of my spiritual master, His Grace Sriman Shankar Das Adhikari. And we actually, the disciples of our spiritual master, we don't make any distinction between Gurudev and Guru Mata. So the respect we gave to Gurudev, the same respect we gave to Guru Mata, and whatever instructions we get from Guru Mata, we treat them on par at the instructions we receive from Gurudev. So there is absolutely no difference that we disciples make between Gurudev and Guru Mata. And that way we are greatly fortunate because we have a shelter of two spiritual masters, not just one. So now daily they give a Bhagavatam class. One day Gurudev gives and one day Guru Mata gives. So in few days back, this question came up that wife is a Krishna conscious and husband is not Krishna conscious, and husband is a meat eater, and she is demanding his wife to cook meat for him. So what wife has to do in those circumstances? So the first thing Guru Mata replied was that it is all, so she did not give a generic principle for everybody to follow in this condition. She gave what actually she will be doing if she is actually landed into that position. So she took her own example. She did not made a generalized statement. So then she basically told कि I am going to tell my husband, if my husband is going to ask me to cook meat, that I am not going to cook meat for you, but if you want to eat, you can eat outside. But I am not going to cook anything for you, any meat for you, sorry. So that's what her response, that she told her, she will tell her husband in that circumstance that she is not going to prepare to cook any meat for my husband, but if he wants, he can go and eat outside. But I am not going to prepare anything. But she actually told this is what she will be doing, and this is not what is a generalized statement for all the wives in Krishna consciousness whose husbands are fallen. And then, right, then came the most important part. So that's where we see, right, how these great devotees like Gurudev, Guru Mata, why we actually they are so exalted devotees. Now she actually told, so okay, so this is what how I have to protect my Krishna consciousness. That I have decided that I am not going to cook meat for my husband, but Vaishnavas are compassionate, so I cannot hate my husband. So I have to see the spiritual well-being of my husband also. So then she actually told that Prabhupada in Melbourne once said, paneer when fried in ghee tastes like meat. So you have some substitute to give to your husband and prepare a very, very nice prasadam for him. Daily you prepare nice prasadam for him. So slowly by eating prasadam regularly, even though he's eating meat outside and even though he's angry at home, but slowly by eating, because he will eat at home, right? It's not that all meals he'll eat outside. He will eat few meals at home. So by eating prasadam regularly, by eating nice food the wife prepares for her husband, in that way, by getting a higher taste, and obviously if the wife is Krishna conscious, there'll be some kirtan going on here and there. She might be singing some songs, bhajans or something. So some Krishna conscious atmosphere is there at home. So just staying in that atmosphere, eating prasadam regularly, getting a higher taste, the husband will give up eating meat automatically. So you see, so this is how, so that that may not happen on the day one. It may take a 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 years, but these things are bound to happen if wife is determined. So wife is determined to protect her own Krishna consciousness, and at the same time, because we are trying to become Vaishnavas, we are compassionate towards everybody. So we are compassionate towards our family also, and we are also aware that can I do something to make my husband, my in-laws, my parents, to make them Krishna conscious. So that's also, determination is the one quality which is required. Tolerance is also required, because obviously if we are practicing Krishna consciousness, then not everybody every time will behave with us nicely, and patience is required. So with these three qualities and compassion, so with these three qualities, uh, slowly the transformation is possible in the husband. So this is what actually, so ultimately Guru Mata replied, no matter what the specific solution to the problem is in the Krishna conscious marriage where husband is Krishna, I'm sorry, in a marriage where one spouse is Krishna conscious and one is not Krishna conscious, no matter what is the specific solution, the basic principle stays the same, and that basic principle is Krishna consciousness must not be compromised. Krishna consciousness must not be given up. This is the basic principle across all the solutions that can be come across for a specific condition, but the basic principle stays sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. This principle of surrender to Krishna, Guru and Krishna, that can never ever be compromised. But that does not mean that solutions might not come. Just like I gave an example of what example Guru Mata gave. So solutions are possible. And I want to give you one real example in this regard. I have a god sister, my god sister in Delhi. She got initiated in around 2008 or 2010, around 12 years, 14 years back, right? And she was very determined in Krishna consciousness. She was practicing Krishna consciousness very sincerely, but her husband was not Krishna conscious. And obviously, there is opposition from the husband, opposition from the in-laws, and all the opposition comes. But she stood with her Krishna consciousness. She never gave up. And now, after 10 years of patience, her husband is chanting 16 rounds. And she is helping Gurudev. No, her husband is helping Gurudev in the internet preaching. And whenever the devotees go and go to Vrindavan, or whenever Gurudev and Guru Mata comes to Vrindavan, he also comes to meet them. So see, we can see the transformation happening in real life, not just in books. We have seen the transformation happening. So it took 10 years. It took, mm, maybe it's a long time, it's a short time, I don't know. But eventually, as of today, her husband is chanting 16 rounds. So this is a great deal of an achievement for her. So she's by her practice, she is able to transform her husband. So you see, so these qualities are important. So here we are discussing about husband is not Krishna conscious and wife is Krishna conscious. So someday we'll discuss the other way also, the other way around, where husband is Krishna conscious and wife is not Krishna conscious. But because in today's verse we are talking about the role of wife, so that's why I thought we'll discuss this today. So the whole, so the so the whole point is basically we a wife, if the wife is sincerely practicing Krishna consciousness, so we just have to understand that the, if you are practicing Krishna consciousness, then you are always under the under the care of Krishna. It is not that Krishna has left you and you are practicing Krishna consciousness. If we have taken one step towards Krishna, Krishna has taken million steps towards us. Not just two, millions of steps Krishna has taken towards us. So do you really think he will do something which is not contrary to our he will do something which is contrary to our benefit? No. So even though you might have to go through, even though we have to go through different struggles, different difficulties, but we just have to understand Krishna is there, and whatever Krishna does is all right, and whatever Krishna is doing now, it's actually just helping me to progress in my Krishna consciousness. And in the scriptures also we see in the Bhagavatam first canto, Kunti Maharani prays like this only. We see in the life of Pandavas throughout their whole life, right from the childhood all the way up to the battle of Kurukshetra, were they enjoying their life? No, they were not enjoying, right? So many difficulties and so many troubles they were going through. Living in the forest, always under the threat of getting killed. So many difficulties they went through, but they never gave up the association of Krishna. And you know what happens? When the battle of Kurukshetra is over and Yudhishthira Maharaj becomes the king of Hastinapur, and now Lord Krishna mounts his chariot to depart for Dwarka. So Queen Kunti is not happy. She is saying to Krishna, I actually forgot that verse. She is saying to Krishna, may those difficulties come again and again, because if we are in those difficulties, you are always with us. And if you are with us, then we don't have to see the cycle of birth and death again. You see, now the Pandavas will be living peacefully in Hastinapur. So now Lord Krishna is departing to Dwarka. So, so Queen Kunti is not happy about that departure of Lord Krishna to Dwarka. So she's saying, though all of these times we were in difficulty and you were with us, now we are supposedly in a happy position and now you are leaving. So what is the use of this happy position if Krishna is not there? So we just have to understand that no matter there will be difficulties, so we just have to be have faith in Krishna, have faith in the spiritual master, that whatever Krishna does is all right. Yeah, we just have to remember this. Whatever Krishna does is all right. So just have tolerance, patience, confidence, compassion, and remember the principle that Krishna consciousness must not be compromised and Krishna consciousness must never be given up. And the spiritual master and the senior Vaishnavas will help us with our different problems that we're going through. So, but we have to understand the Krishna's plan behind all of it. The whole plan is to make us Krishna conscious. We understand from the common understanding also, right? If everything is going well in the material life, there won't be any inclination to practice Krishna consciousness only. So unless there are difficulties in our material life, we won't be inclined to practice Krishna consciousness. So it's actually the difficulties that we get in our life is a great boon for us to progress in Krishna consciousness. So basically, now we come back to our positive Krishna conscious marriage. Okay, so we have talked enough about negative thing. Husband is Krishna conscious, wife is not Krishna conscious, or the other way around. So the role of a husband and wife in Krishna conscious marriage is summarized in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. The conclusion is that the husband should be a pure Vaishnava and that a woman should be a chaste wife with all the symptoms described in this regard. Then both of them will be happy and make spiritual progress in Krishna consciousness. So husband must be a devotee serving the order of Guru and Krishna, and wife must also be devotee at, as serving the order of Guru and Krishna and at the same time taking care of the household and serving the husband. So this in 71128 purport, Srila Prabhupada has summarized the role of husband and wife both in Krishna conscious marriage. It's not that the husband, because of the male body, they have to puff up. No, they both have to work together to reach the ultimate destination. The conclusion is that the husband should be a pure Vaishnava and a woman should be a chaste wife with all the symptoms described in this regard. Then both of them will make spiritual progress in Krishna consciousness. Now, here the destination of the woman who is engaged in this way of serving her husband who is a pure Vaishnava. So in the verse number 29, in the same chapter, 11th chapter, it is said the woman who engages in the service of her husband, following strictly in the footsteps of the goddess of fortune, surely returns home back to Godhead with her devotee husband and lives very happily in the Vaikuntha planets. So you see, the result of a chaste wife who is serving a pure Vaishnava, the result is that it is not that only husband goes back to Godhead and she stays in the material realm. No. Here, Prabhupada says in the translation of this verse, the woman who engages in the service of her husband, following strictly in the footsteps of the goddess of fortune, surely returns home back to Godhead with her devotee husband and lives very happily in the Vaikuntha planets. So this is the ultimate goal, ultimate destination which a nice Krishna conscious husband and Krishna conscious wife can achieve in Krishna conscious marriage. So this advantage should not be lost. If you are in a family where both spouses, both husband and wife are Krishna conscious, so just understand that this is, see, Lord Chaitanya says, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasadepaya Bhakti Lata Bija. Brahmanda Brahmite. By wandering throughout the universe in 8.4 million species, somehow or other, by the grace of Guru and Krishna, we get the seed of bhakti. And Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kasyid yatate siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kasyin mam veti tatvata. Only the very, very few of the total persons, they actually understand me in truth. It means that they become a devotee. So the devotees are extremely, extremely rare. Even though we go to ISKCON, we see so many devotees. So don't generalize that. Devotees are very, very, very rare. And if in that rare combination, if in that rarity, if you have a husband and wife who is a devotee, then I think it's the best of all fortune you can get. So that advantage should never be given up. So obviously we are all practicing devotees. Husband or wife will make some mistakes, but it doesn't mean that we just have to be tolerant and understand the fact that this is by great fortune I have got a Krishna conscious husband or Krishna conscious wife. Because just by becoming a single devotee itself is a great fortune, and having a husband or wife also a great devotee is, you can understand, right? What kind of greatest fortune it is. So that fortune should never be given up. And because the result is, here Prabhupada says, the woman engages in the service of the husband, following strictly in the footsteps of the goddess of fortune, surely returns home back to Godhead with her devotee husband and lives very happily in Vaikuntha planets. So, again, the same point I have actually written here. A man should be an ideal servant of the Lord, and woman should be an ideal wife like the goddess of fortune. Then both the husband and wife will be so faithful and strong that by acting together, they will return home back to Godhead without a doubt. So these few verses, 7, 11, 28, 29, 25 to 29, you can note down. 7.11.25 to 29. So that actually very nicely summarizes the role of husband and wife in Krishna conscious marriage, especially the role of wife in Krishna conscious marriage. So see, the distinction is so amazing, right? Both husband and wife will be so faithful and strong that by acting together, they will return home back to God without a doubt. We are always complaining about I'm not getting devotee association, but assume we have a Krishna conscious husband and wife, so 24/7 we are getting devotee association. Such a great fortune it is. And the result is by acting together, we'll go back home back to God. Now let's take. Let me start time. Okay, let's take a real example. Oh, I'm sorry, I lost my PPT. So let's take an example of a Queen Archie, wife of Prithu Maharaj, from the scriptures, about her chastity and what all she did and what was her final destination. So the reason I took Queen Archie is because it's kind of very fresh. Just now we have few chapters back only we have finished the pastimes of Prithu Maharaj. So I think it's kind of fresh. I'm assuming it's kind of fresh among all the devotees about the pastimes of Prithu Maharaj, and especially the last chapter, which is the Prithu Maharaj going back to Godhead, where where we come to know the greatness of his wife Queen Archie. So I have actually noted down few verses from there. So these verses are from chapter 23. Maharaja Prithu is going back home. Text 19. So basically, what has happened is Maharaja Prithu has left his body. So 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 this is what. Okay, we'll read here. Now, text 19 says, the queen, the wife of Prithu Maharaj, whose name was Archie, followed her husband into the forest because after he finished ruling his empire, the Prithu Maharaj took retirement and went to the Vanaprastha ashram with his wife and went to a forest. So this is that description. So till that time, the queen was staying in the palace. So now it is said, the queen, the wife of Prithu Maharaj, whose name was Archie, followed her husband into the forest. Since she was a queen, her body was very delicate. Although she did not deserve to live in the forest, she voluntarily touched her lotus feet to the ground. See, it's such an amazing thing, right? She was a queen. Earlier, she was a princess, and then she became a queen. So it's actually very and in those days, whenever the queen princess they have to go out, they used to go out on palanquin. They never have to walk from one place to another. Also, so that was the life of Queen Archie. And now, when her husband went to the forest, she, she could have decided to stay back in the palace, but she voluntarily touched her lotus feet to the ground, and she decided to go to the forest with her husband. Although she was not accustomed to such difficulties, Queen Archie followed her husband in the regulative principles of living in the forest like great sages. She lay down on the ground and ate only fruits, flowers, and leaves, and because she was not fit for these activities, she became frail and thin. Yet, because of the pleasure she derived in serving her husband, she did not feel any difficulties. Yeah, now the question can be raised here, right? It is not at all possible to have this transformation, right from a palace life one day and the next day forest life. This transformation is not possible. So how it was possible for Queen Archie to achieve that transformation? So here Prabhupada says in the translation, because the pleasure she derived in serving her husband. And here we are not talking about a common husband. We are talking about a Prithu Maharaj, who is none other than Shaktavesh incarnation of Lord Vishnu. He is the Palana Shakti of the Lord. So he's a Shaktavesh incarnation who came down and became an ideal king and demonstrated how to rule over the world. He is the greatest devotee of the Lord. He is a great devotee of the Lord. So we are not talking about a mundane husband. We are talking about a great devotee husband and a great devotee wife. And here she says, because she was very much inclined in the service of her husband, she did not feel any difficulties. And actually, we see these examples in say for example, in Dwarka, Queen Rukmani had many maid servants, but she used to personally engage in the service of Lord Krishna. So it is not that they had maid servants, so she will be sleeping on the bed and servants will be taking care of. No, they used to derive such a great benefit in serving the husband that they actually don't need any maid servants. And obviously, the Vaikuntha world we know, all the goddesses of fortune, they are engaged in washing the floor of Lord Krishna's palace. You can see they themselves are engaged. It's not that the maid servants are engaged. So, so this was the characteristic of Queen Archie also. She was very, very dedicated to her husband, her great Vaishnava devotee husband. And now we'll see the destination she achieved. So Prithu Maharaj here actually does a great austerities and penances in the forest. But the Queen Archie was not in a position to do all that. So, but she was only serving her husband. Now, now the Prithu Maharaj leaves his body. When Queen Archie saw that her husband, who had been so merciful to her and the earth, no longer showed symptoms of life, she lamented for a while and then built a fiery pyre on top of a hill and placed the body of her husband on it. After this, queen the queen executed the necessary funeral functions and offered oblations of water. After bathing in the river, she offered obeisances to various demigods situated in the sky in the different planetary systems. She then circumambulated the fire and, while thinking of the lotus feet of her husband, entered its flames. So, so this is obviously not to be imitated. She's a great Vaishnavi. Prutamar is great Vaishnava, so she can take that step. But obviously, we don't imitate that. It's not legal also in present times. So as we can understand how chaste she was. So after now, no, this kind of act previously also was not common, that a woman is entering into the funeral pyre of her husband. We saw Gandhari did the same, and here we see Queen Archie also did the same. So now the demigod wives of all the demigods were astonished. They were astonished at the chastity of uh, Queen Archie. So they actually recite few verses there. After observing this brave act performed by the chaste wife Archie, the wife of the great king Prithu, many thousands of the wives of the demigods, along with their husbands, offered prayers to the queen, for they were very much satisfied. At that time, the demigods were situated on the top of the Mandara hill, and all their wives began to shower flowers on the funeral pyre and began to talk amongst themselves as follows. The wives of the demigods said, "All glories to Queen Archie." We can see that this queen of the great King Prithu, the emperor of all the kings of the world, has served her husband with mind, speech, and body, exactly as the goddess of fortune serves the supreme personality of goddess Vishnu. The wives of demigods continued, "Just see how this chaste lady Archie, by dint of her inconceivable pious activities, is still following her husband upward as far as we can see." As you can see, so what happens is when the Queen Archie also leaves her body in that way, so the two Vaikuntha plane, two airplane comes from the Vaikuntha, one from the Prithu Maharaj and one for the Queen Archie. And here actually all the wives of the demigods are saying that how fortunate the great wife of the great King Prithu is, that her husband is going to Vaikuntha in the airplane and she is also following her in a different airplane, on the same pathway where her husband went. So as we can see, what we read in the translation, that if the wife serves her husband, the Vaishnava husband, with full dedication, she also goes back to Godhead. That has been actually confirmed in the life of Queen Archie. The wives of demigods continued, "Just see how this chaste lady Archie, by dint of her inconceivable pious activities, is still following her husband upward as far as we can see." So now Prabhupada summarizes this uh, whole whole act done by Queen Archie, and again he summarizes the role of the husband and wife in a Krishna conscious marriage. Prithu Maharaj was so it comes from the chapter 43, text 26 purport. Prithu Maharaj was a pure devotee, and his wife Queen Archi simply followed her husband. Thus, they can both be considered pure devotees. This is a great statement Prabhupada makes. It is not that if the husband is practicing Krishna consciousness, husband is doing all running around here and there, preaching this and that, only husband is becoming pure devotee and wife is not become pure devotee. No, Prabhupada says here, Prithu Maharaj was a pure devotee and his wife Queen Archi simply followed her devotee husband. Thus, they both can be considered pure devotees and they are capable of performing inconceivable activities. Now, Prithu Maharaj summarizes a woman does not need to attain high qualifications, but if she simply follows in the footsteps of her husband, who must be a devotee, then both husband and wife attain liberation and are promoted to the Vaikuntha Lokas. This is evinced by the inconceivable activities of Maharaja Prithu and his wife. So that's what so Srila Prabhupada summarizes in uh, Canto 7, text 11 to text, oh sorry, chapter 11, text 28 purport that we saw. And here also Prabhupada summarizes in this purport, in the chapter Prithu Maharaj going back to Godhead, that a woman does not need to attain high qualifications, but if she simply follows in the footsteps of her husband, who must be a devotee, then both husband and wife attain liberation and are promoted to Vaikuntha Lokas. This is evinced by the inconceivable activities of Maharaja Prithu and his wife. So now already I think we have around, time is already up, I believe. So this is what we learned from today's class. So I'll just check. Prabhuji, till how long we are allowed to do the class? Is it over time?
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Can you repeat, Prabhuji? Another how many minutes?
Another 12 to 13 minutes, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay. So now we discussed about the. Okay, so now let's come back to our real family business. So we have discussed about our families, the problems in the families, husband wife problems, parents problems, in-laws problems, this problem, that problem. So now let's come to our real ISKCON family business. So these problems will always be there and the problems will never be stopped. But it actually does not mean that we actually doesn't make progress in our pathway of going back home, back to God. So now let's come to our true family business of ISKCON and what everyone has to do. The reason I added this section was because just now a few days back we passed the appearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, and on the 2nd March 1975, Srila Prabhupada gave an half an hour lecture on Vyas Puja of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, where he actually reveals our family business and reveals the desire of all the predecessor acharyas and and the desire of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his own desire, and finally he shares his own desire. So the whole our family business. So actually, yeah. So our whole family business sprouts from one single desire of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that desire is Prithvite Ache Yata Nagaradi Grama Sarvatra Prachar Hoive Mor Nama. Prithvite, all over the world, as many as towns and villages are there, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted that his mission will be spread. This prediction was made by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally 500 years ago. So this statement by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the driving force of all the activities of ISKCON, all the activities of the devotees. Just this single desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prithvite Ache Yata Nagaradi Grama Sarvatra Prachara Hoive Moranama. Whatever we are doing in Krishna consciousness, preaching activities we are doing in Krishna consciousness, that is towards this one simple guideline given to us by to fulfill this desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now what happens is, right, so in that lecture I was talking about, which Srila Prabhupada gave on the appearance day of Vyasa Puja, he actually mentions that in 1896 it was actually Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's great desire that the Krishna consciousness should spread in the West. It was a his was great desire that um, all the American people, French people, they should all come together and participate in the Hare Krishna Kirtan. It was his great desire, Bhakti Vinod Thakur's. And the same desire he had expressed to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And again, in the pursuance of that desire, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has opened many Gaudiya Maths in India. So that was again in the pursuance of the same desire of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that we are seeing here. But finally, when we know that when Srila Prabhupada met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in the first meeting itself, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says Srila Prabhupada that you should preach this message in English language to the West English speaking world. In the first language, same desire that Prithviti Ache Yata Nagaradi Grama Sarvatra Prachar Hoibe Moranama. Same desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All the acharyas kept this desire deep within the heart. Even the Rupa Goswami, when actually when he was compiling Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, if you see in the preface and introduction, he says that my attempt in writing this book is to please Sanatana Goswami and to make the whole world Krishna conscious. So basically, yeah, there is a statement like that. I don't remember the exact statement, but it is actually said there that the Rupa Goswami also desired to make the whole world Krishna conscious. So all the acharyas, all the preceding acharyas, up to the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the predecessor acharyas, they had this single desire of spreading Krishna consciousness throughout the world. And then in the first meeting itself, we can understand the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave instruction to Srila Prabhupada that he should spread Krishna consciousness in the Western, in the English speaking language. Now, in Los Angeles, on December 17, 1973, Srila Prabhupada gave a same instruction to his disciples. He actually gave the instruction, just become perfect in understanding this science, become Guru, and deliver the whole world. Now, Prabhupada got an instruction from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj that you should spread this Krishna consciousness in English language in English speaking world. And Prabhupada gave instructions to his disciples that no English, no Hindi, no German, no French. Deliver the whole world. That's what the instruction which came to his disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and which eventually actually means that all those instructions is actually meant for all the followers of the Srila Prabhupada, all the grand disciples, all the great disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So this is every family business has a motto. So this is a motto of our ISKCON's family business. Become perfect in understanding the science of Krishna consciousness, become Guru, and deliver the world. So this is what is the motto of our family business, our ISKCON's family business, and which Srila Prabhupada is very, very clearly said. Now again, a few days back, Gurudev, my spiritual master, Srila Gurudev, was explaining on this point, and he then mentioned, now deliver the world. What does exactly deliver the world means? Deliver the world means deliver this planet Earth, or deliver this universe, or deliver the whole of cosmic manifestation. So what does that deliver the world phrase actually means? So, and then he mentioned that he has also asked the same question to His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj also, that when Prabhupada says deliver the world, what does deliver the world actually mean? But I'm sorry, I don't have that response of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj to Srila Gurudev. But he actually mentioned that it mentions all the three: deliver the earth, deliver this universe, and deliver whole of the cosmic manifestation, all the material universes. So, but we start with the earth. Let's start with the earth first. So, but deliver the world, actually, if we understand what Srila Prabhupada actually means, so it can mean any of it. It can mean you deliver the planet Earth, or you deliver the whole universe, or you deliver the whole cosmic manifestation. So deliver the world can mean anything. So now so in this instruction of our motto of the family business, there are 3 points. Become perfect in understanding of this science. That's the point number 1. Become Guru. That's the point number 2. And deliver the world. That's the point number 3. So as you can see, Prabhupada in this one statement has given the whole summary. Uh, Prabhupada has not said, okay, just become perfect in understanding the science. He has said, do that and become guru and deliver the world also. And to effectively deliver the world, we have to do 1 and 2 also. So all 1, 2, and 3 are related with each other very, very uh, deeply. It's not that I have a desire to preach and but I don't want to chant my rounds. I don't want to follow the regulatory principles, but I want to preach. That will not work. And assume I'm doing my sadhana, but not doing much preaching work. So my sadhana will also be not much tasteful because we are not we are not on that position where 24 by 7 we can chant Hare Krishna. So all these 3 points, 1, 2, and 3 are very, very interrelated with each other. So let's understand the point number 1. What does it mean by become perfect in the understanding of this science? So basically, I think we all know, we are all aware of this, and everybody is trying to become perfect in the understanding of Krishna consciousness. Actually, we need to be very, very serious and very, very sincere in actually becoming a pure devotees of Krishna. That's the sum and substance. If the sincerity is there, the doors will automatically open. If the sincerity is not there, if the seriousness is not there, no matter what we do, we are not going to become Krishna conscious. But if the sincerity is there and there are some shortcomings, Krishna will cover everything up. So the standard we all know that chanting 16 rounds daily on beats without fail, attentive chanting, that's very important. Following the four regulatory principles strictly, studying the Srila Prabhupada book systematically, eating only prasadam, associate with devotees. Now, regarding the reading Srila Prabhupada books systematically and hearing all lectures of Prabhupada, I think it's a good practice to read. For example, if you are started to read Srimad Bhagavatam, read it, start from first canto, read it verse by verse, chapter by chapter. Don't just randomly pick up anything from any book and read that and assume that we are studying Srila Prabhupada books. Try to understand Srila Prabhupada books systematically as we do in our Bhakti Shastri. So, uh, so for example, if you want to read Bhagavad Gita, so start from first chapter, first verse, second verse, third verse, like this, first chapter, second chapter, third chapter, go all the way up to 18 chapters and study systematically. Take reference from other reference books. We have a great book from Bhurijana Prabhu regarding the reference book on Bhagavad Gita. We have a Gita Subodhini also to help us understanding. We have all the devotees around. So like this, we have to systematically study all the Prabhupada books. And my spiritual master Srila Gurudev always says a devotee must read all the Srila Prabhupada books. It's not that we have to read one book or other book and we don't read that book. We have to read all the Srila Prabhupada books. And if you finish reading all the Srila Prabhupada books, then start over again. So throughout our life, we are reading Srila Prabhupada books. So we can't say at any point of our life that I've done reading Srila Prabhupada books. So if you think that we have studied all the Srila Prabhupada books, Easy Journey to Other Planets, Raj Vidya, uh, uh, On the Way to Krishna, uh, what do you call it? Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Ishopanishad, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. If you think that you have finished reading all of these books, start over. So this is what is meant by systematically study of Prabhupada books. And other points I think we all are aware of. We just have to increase the quality. Now the second question Prabhupada says, become Guru. Now, has Srila Prabhupada told only to few people that you become Guru and everyone else should not become a Guru? Or that instruction is for every one of us? Actually, that instruction is for every one of us. Every single ISKCON devotee must become a Guru. And now we actually see what actually it means by becoming a Guru. So it's not that we are sitting on a Vyasasana and taking worship from our subordinates. That is not a Guru. So Guru, the definition of Guru comes in the first verse of Nectar of Instruction, which says Vacho Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam Jivva Vegam Udarupastha Vegam Etan Vegan Yo Vishesheta Dhira Sarvam Apimam Prithvim Sashishyat. The translation goes like this. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of the anger, and urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So this is what actually it means by becoming a guru. It means that Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jivva Vegam, Udaropastha Vegam. So Vacho Vegam means we have to control our speech. At least when we are in the devotee community and the devotee circle, we should try our best to speak only Krishna Katha. We know that in our daily life we have to interact with so many mundane people, and 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 sometimes it's not possible to actually talk with everybody about Krishna Katha. But at least when we are devotees, we need to practice. uh, we need to talk Krishna Katha only. So Krishna says, Man mana bhav mad bhakto matya no, I'm sorry. Mat chitta mad gada prana bodhyanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. See, that is what is bodhyanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam. The devotees take pleasure discussing about Krishna among one another, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss in that. So that is called a Vacho Vegam. Vacho Vegam does not mean that we become mon like Mayavadi sannyasis, or just mon putting a cloth and not speaking at all. We have to speak Krishna Katha as far as possible, and especially when we are in the devotee association, we have to take a great opportunity to talk about Krishna Katha. It can be any pastimes of Krishna, it can be pastimes of devotees, it can be some pastime of Prabhupada, it can be some 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 pastime of the spiritual master. It can be anything which is related to Krishna Katha. Everything is Krishna Katha. So actually, my Gurudev explains, gives many examples like this. That he used to explain about his brahmachari days. That when they were in the brahmachari ashram, they all used to take prasadam together, and His Holiness Vishnu Jana Swami, at that time, he used to recite, he used to tell stories from Krishna book during prasadam time, and they all used to relish prasadam, and they all used to relish the stories from the Krishna book. And he actually said few days back, those are such a sweet memories that I am not able to forget. See, we actually, and he also mentioned one day that he had a Krishna Katha buddy. So whenever they used to take breakfast prasadam, so he had a Krishna Katha buddy, and they both used to talk about a Krishna Katha. So he became a Krishna Katha buddy, and eventually they developed such a strong bondage, such a strong relationship with each other, deep within the heart, that Gurudev is not able to forget that person, that godmother of him, even now. Even many times he mentions about him in the class. So just by becoming a Krishna Katha buddies during breakfast, and just by hearing Krishna Katha and sharing Krishna Katha during prasadam. So this is this is a very easy way to increase the devotee bonding. Just discuss about Krishna whenever we get a chance. So that is called a Vacho Vegam. And Manasa Vegam means it's obviously we have to control the activities of the mind. So that is the Manasa Vegam. I think we are running out of time, so I'll just try to cover it up very soon. So Mansa Vegam, so it's obviously our mind is like a wild horse, right? Especially as we are practicing, trying to advance in Krishna consciousness, our mind is like a wild horse, always running after sense gratification here and there. So Srila Rupa Goswami gives a very nice advice. He says, Yena tena prakarena manha Krishna niveshayet. Yena tena prakarena. Somehow or other, Mana Krishna Niveshayet. Engage the mind in Krishna. Do any activity, engage in your daily activities in such a way that somehow or other you can remember Krishna. No matter what activity you are doing, somehow or other we should be remembering Krishna. So that is called tolerating the mind's demands. So somehow or other our day should be planned in such a way that I am some way or other in touch with Krishna consciousness. Some way or other. It doesn't matter what it is. Yena tena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayet. And Krodha Vegam. Krodha Vegam means, see, we say devotees are very peaceful, quiet, we don't become angry. But actually, the point is, if somebody is blaspheming devotees or somebody is blaspheming Lord, then we must become very angry with the offenders and blasphemers. So this is for their benefit only. So blaspheming the devotees, blaspheming the Lord, we cannot tolerate. So in this regard, my Gurudev gives one example from his own life, that when he was a brahmachari, he had a service that he has to take sweets and distribute them on the street. So I don't know how many of you have heard about the sweet called Simply Wonderful. It's actually a small milk ball sweet like small peda kind of a sweet, and he had a service to distribute that on the street. So so one day he was distributing on the street on the streets on the street on the red light, and one hippie person came and he just threw his tray. He just took his tray out of his hand and threw on the floor. And then Srila Gurudev became very, very angry. He just looked into his eyes, and just staring in the eyes, he yelled at him, "Go and collect all those sweets right now." Actually, I cannot yell like that, I'm sorry. But it was a real yelling that you can understand, right? The kind of yelling. And that person got scared like anything. He came to his senses and he went to streets. He started collecting all the sweets and putting on the tray. And the red light went green. All the cars are passing by, but he's collecting all the sweets. See, at the end of the day, right, he committed an offense, and by act of my spiritual master's anger, he was actually he got some repentance from that offense. And Jivva Vegam. Jiva Vegam means we are only eating Krishna Prasadam. And if we just follow this principle of Jiva Vegam very strictly, eating only Krishna Prasadam, and that too regulated. Actually, it's not that we are a Krishna Prasadam and daily we are eating Krishna Prasadam morning and evening. And all the kinds of luxury food, samosi, kachoras, gulab jamuns, daily we are eating. Oh, it's a Krishna Prasadam. Let me enjoy. It's allowed. Yes, that's true. It's a Krishna Prasadam, but we have to eat in regulation. Krishna says yukta ahara viharasa. Yukta ahar. So even though we are eating Krishna Prasadam, so that should be regulation. So we have some specific times in the day, like breakfast, you can take lunch and some snack if you want in the evening, and the dinner. And a regulated quantity. It's not that we are just eating and eating and eating with no end. So regulated quantity you eat. Prabhupada says, uh, eat half of the food, half of the stomach with food, one fourth with water, and one fourth with air. So this is what the Prabhupada guideline is. So we should not just eat like our bellies are completely full and we cannot do any service. So, but the thing is, the key point is we have to eat prasadam in a regulated manner. And if we eat prasadam, then belly and genitals are automatically controlled. So basically, we don't have to do anything special to do to control the belly and genitals. So I think that belly and genital parts we don't have time today, so we'll discuss sometime later, especially genitals. And here also, uh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says it's not that some highly advanced persons become guru. He says kiba vipra, kiba nyasi, shudra kene naya, yei Krishna tattva vitta, sei guru haya. Whether one is a brahmana, sannyasi, or a shudra, regardless of what he is, he can become a spiritual master if he knows the science of Krishna. So the qualification is two qualifications. So vacha vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jivva vegam, udaropastha vegam. And the second qualification is become perfect in the understanding of the science of Krishna consciousness. So unless we develop the first point, become perfect in understanding the science of Krishna consciousness, and unless we do the Vachavegam thing, we cannot become a guru. And the third is very simple. We all know, deliver the world. That's the ultimate. See, every business has a goal. If you talk to any business, they will say, okay, my goal is to earn these many $1 million. So goal of ISKCON, our family, the goal, ultimate goal of our family business is to make the whole world Krishna conscious. That is the ultimate goal. And that is what Lord Chaitanya has predicted as well. And it's actually there in Brihanaradiya Puran that for the 10,000 years of Lord Chaitanya, the whole planet will become Krishna conscious. The whole, and it includes all the government also. So just imagine, right? So when the Capitol building in the US, in the White House, before starting the proceedings, they are chanting, they are doing a Hare Krishna Kirtan on the Kartal. In the parliament, in the Britain, in Germany. So the parliament proceeding starts after the Hare Krishna Kirtan, and all the judges of the Supreme Court, they are wearing a Vaishnava tilak. Just imagine that day. And that day will come. Prabhupada has told that. And that prediction is there in Brihanaradiya Puran. So the verse is already there. Kaler dasha sahasrani mad bhaktani samti bhutale eka varna bhavishyanti mad bhakteshu gateshu cha. For 10,000 years of Kali, such devotees of mine will fill the whole planet. After the departure of my devotees, there will be only Varnas outcast. So that is how. So that is the ultimate goal: make the whole world Krishna conscious, and that is the ultimate motto of our Krishna conscious family. So thank you very much for giving your time today. I'm really glad. I'm thankful to Vijay Narasimha Prabhu for giving me opportunity for this class. So I request all of you that let's have this goal in our mind and the instruction of Srila Prabhupada that become perfect in understanding the science, become guru and deliver the world. Actually, we chant that every day. Bahe Narsimha, Hridaye Narsimha. Bahe Narsimha means make the whole world Krishna conscious. And Hridaye Narsimha means make ourselves Krishna conscious. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhu. It's already 10:11. I think we will not take any questions. If any burning questions, any one quick burning question to Prabhu, otherwise we'll straight away go to the next part of our program.
So in case if you have any burning question, anybody, Yugala Kishore Prabhu can answer that question.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
Yeah. So Yugala Kishore Prabhuji will answer that burning question. I am not in a
Thank you
position
very
to
much. Thank you very much, Amalpuram Prabhu. So wonderful class, and especially for related to the Grahastha husband, the role of husband and the role of wife. It is so important for all of us practicing Krishna consciousness who are Grahasthas, and giving all the scriptural references and the expectations from our Acharya. So nicely Prabhupada, Prabhu had put that. So let's thank Amalpuram Prabhu by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare
Hare.
May Lord Gandharvika Giridhari Narasimhadev Bhagwan shower their choices blessing on Prabhu and family, that they continue to practice Krishna consciousness and serve Guru and Gauranga and spread the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada to the all over the world. So thank you very much, Prabhu. So not much announcement, but the 2-3 things in the coming week. We have Ekadasi on Tuesday. So the fasting will be there on Tuesday, and the breakfast time on the next day will be 6:31 to 10:31 in Bangalore. And most awaited festival for all Vaishnavas is on the March 28. That's a Gaur Purnima.
Haribol.
The appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we are preparing ourselves, our consciousness to celebrate the Gaur Purnima, and also invite Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in our heart. So for that, we have programs on every Friday evening, Bhajan Sandhya. So please join for that, which our Siddhartha Prabhu coordinates that activities, that services. So let's join for this program and prepare ourselves for the upcoming biggest festival of the year for all of us, following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is the Gaur Purnima day. And now we'll have, let's see, any message was there? Okay. There is no other point here. I see Sudhir Gopal Prabhu also there. Prabhu, any other point here, announcement, Bandhu Madhav Prabhu? Okay, so we'll have Narasimha Arati. I will request Anup Prabhu and Aishwarya Mataji. Oh, Prabhu says that we all are muted. So how do you mute?
Don't speak.
Prabhu, we are audible? Yes, so then speak. Okay, so now Prabhu and Aishwarya Mataji will sing Narasimha Arati, and then we'll end our program.
Okay. Shri Narasimha, Jai Narasimha, Jai Jai Shri Narasimha. Prahladesha, Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Ringa. Ugram Viram Mahavishnu, Jalantam Sarvatomukham. Narasimham Vishanam Vatam, Mrityunjayam Namamyaham. Nama नमस्ते नरसिंहाय
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय
तव कर कमल वरे नखा अद्भुत दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा देशवतीका
भक्त विघ्न विनाशक नरसिंह देव भगवान की
जय।
प्रभुपाद की अनंत
जय।
कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय।
जय।
प्रेमानंदे।
हरि हरि बोल।
हरि हरि बोल।
हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you very much, Anup Prabhu and Aishwarya Mataji. So with that, we'll end our program and see you on Friday, Bhajan Sandhya, preparing ourselves for the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on March 28. And coincidentally, this year we have a Sunday. So let's celebrate in a very big way and invite Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thank you.